What's happening, Wes?
What's up, Brian? Just relaxing, sitting back in my seat here and getting ready for my weekly oasis here in Gamecat Island.
Is it a VR Oasis?
uh,
Sorry, that's bad.
no. Whatever happened to that guy anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he could be putting out videos every single day. I don't keep up with anybody. It's so embarrassing, man. Like I'm the worst member of the VR community because I just don't. Outside of our little bubble here, outside of our little without parole bubble, I don't interact with anybody, man. Does he not post anymore?
No, I don't think he does on YouTube, but I did say that with a bit, tongue in cheek, because I know where he is and what he's doing. He's doing what has happened to so many of us in the VR YouTube space, and he's working for a VR studio now and working on making and promoting VR games.
Oh, well done. I guess I can see my future. I don't even have to think about what my next move is career wise. If that's where all VR YouTubers end up, then at least when I disappear, you guys will know. Hopefully, I'm out there working on some horror games somewhere.
You guys will know what happened when Brian just starts missing shows randomly.
Yep. Yep. And then I start showing up in the credits for flat to VR games.
Yep. Yeah. That's
I don't know if this is a promising future or not. I can't decide if I like this or not. So let me mull it over while we start the show. You ready to go?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Go. Patiently waiting for the sirens to end. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wesday, and 2 Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure, but we also care so much about your little earballs. That's why we put this thing up in podcast services of your choice. Sometimes it's the same night, sometimes it's days later. My apologies. I try to stay on top of it. I'm not very good at it. My name's Brian Paul from this channel right here without parole. And this gentleman over to my left, you're right. It's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. Hey, Wes.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Game Cats. You know who's really good at staying on top of it, Brian?
I mean, she watches the show, man. I don't want to call her out.
That's a good call.
Yep. Oh man, what have you been up to for the last week, Wes? What's going on?
Had a good long weekend. Hanging out with the fam. Sleeping. Out of my long
Sleeping
4-day weekend, I think I slept 2 of those days off solid. So not a whole lot, man. Just hanging out with the family. Got back to work yesterday, and it has been balls to the wall since then, as usual. Announcing things, preparing to announce things, and preparing to prepare to announce things. It's been fun. It's been a mad dash, but luckily we get to at the very least, we get to enjoy some of the spoils of my labor during today's episode.
Nice. And before we get into any of that, I got to ask you a very important question, Wes. And it's one that was heavily debated on Monday's episode, and then that spilled out into Discord, into a poll that we did there as well. And the question is, Wes, is Zombieland Headshot Fever Reloaded a rail shooter?
Yeah, I would call it a rail shooter. I mean, there are junction points that during certain levels that allow you to take alternate paths, but it's still you have 2 rails at times instead of 1 rail. But it is a rail shooter. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that it's node based, but the nodes are all in a straight line and you can't go backwards. So I think the you can't go backwards qualifies it as a rail shooter.
Andrew Ehrenreich's in the chat with the $5 tip, says, need some horror movies to watch. Pretend you're talking to someone who's never seen a horror movie or any movie and hit me up with your best recommendations. Dude, that's okay. Listen, I think movie recommendations alone are very personal, right? It really depends on who you are and what you're looking for. But then you go into horror, and I feel like you really figure out what kind of person somebody is when you start figuring out what kind of horror movies that they like. I'm an easy person to please horror-wise. I like it to be as scary as possible. I don't mind jump scares. I think they're a lot of fun, right? That's kind of like if I'm in the movie theater and I'm holding on to the armrests, like bracing for the next jump scare, you probably got me, and I'm probably enjoying my time, right? And that's why I don't mind some of the cheap stuff like Paranormal Activity movies. I love found footage stuff. So like every Paranormal Activity movie except for Next of Kin, which was the most high budget professional one they did, I love, even the ones that people say suck, the original Blair Witch Project, all found footage stuff I generally can get on with, and then as far as like regular old traditional horror movies, just put me in a haunted house, man. Put me in a haunted house and scare me. Like I don't need some deep psychological story. I don't need some secondary meaning. I don't need it to be an allegory for anything, right? That's why I like The Conjuring 1 and 2. That's why I liked Annabelle and Annabelle Creation, right? These are just movies that like are set out to scare you, and they go, whatever, the story doesn't matter all that much. Like, let's not get bogged down with nonsense. So those are my recommendations, but only if you're like me and you just going out there to be scared. I have a feeling that you're gonna have some much different recommendations, though, Wes. Am I right?
Yeah, a few. Although I will second your love for the Conjuring series and literally all of those movies in that group. I think there's like 6 of them or something, and they're all pretty good.
At least.
I would start with The Exorcist. The classic original Exorcist. Skip the sequel. But I think The Exorcist 3 is also really good. I think it's underrated. Most people don't like it, but I think it was a pretty good movie.
That's the one the VR game, the Legion VR was based on, right?
That is correct, sir. It's in that world, so to speak.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
Let's see, more modern stuff. I would say Hereditary's pretty good. I liked what was that called? Midsummer. I thought was really good.
Great. Yep.
Mandy, I thought was cool, even though it's kind of like horror adjacent, so to speak, and weird. I thought it was really good. As Above, So Below, I think don't get talked about nearly enough. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, what else? I mean, horror is such an all-encompassing genre. There's so many different types of horror movies. If you're into like the really gory, like slasher films, I would just put you on to like the classic, the first 4 or 5 of the Friday the 13th movies. The first
if you're
3.
If you're gonna watch 4 or 5, you might as well just fucking watch them all and just.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I would say the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street Elm Street movies, and definitely all 3 of the original Hellraiser movies were really cool and gory and painful to watch. And one more while we're talking about the classics, the original Poltergeist was really good as well. Oh, and if you want to laugh while you're scared, you got to do Evil Dead Part 2. Evil Dead 2 is awesome.
Good point. Yeah, dude. I mean, going on with from what you said, Poltergeist 1 was great, but recently, like I'm within the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, we've been. I always remembered Poltergeist 2 being like, oh yeah, it's like the first movie, but more of the same. And I rewatched it recently, and I was like, holy crap! Like Poltergeist 2 might be better than Poltergeist 1. Like it's a really well done movie, and it is more of the same, but it's really well done and highly recommended. I think it's even scarier than the first one. And then in Poltergeist 3, I watched way too early. Like Poltergeist 3 was one of those movies that I watched at a sleepover at a friend's house when I was like 10 or something, and like my parents, I've said this before multiple times on the show, my parents didn't let me watch PG-13 movies until I was 13. They didn't let me watch rated R movies until I was 17, and you know what, they were right for doing so, because I was emotionally like insanely immature, and I was not ready to handle this stuff. And so at a sleepover watching Poltergeist 3 when I was 10 years old, dude, bad news bears, like I was scared of mirrors for the next decade. Like, I mean, it was bad. So like, so definitely, yeah. Oh yeah. Secret Stuff says the Poltergeist remake was awful. 100% agree. Don't bother with that. But Poltergeist 2 and 3, pretty decent.
Yeah, some good call outs in the chat too, with the Alien, which was a horror movie actually. Yep. Omen was good as well, and The Fly, classic.
All right. Well, since we got there, AJ had recommended the 1988 remake of The Blob to me yesterday, and I've never seen either version of The Blob, the original or the remake. And I watched the remake last night, and it was good. It was really good. I mean, it was like, there's some camp to it because it's an 80s horror flick, but it was really well done. Really well done. Some great practical effects in that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. I always remember seeing the box from like the VHS tape on the shelf at the rental store, but I never picked it up and actually watched it.
Damn. Well, maybe it's time. I think you appreciate 80s stuff even more than I do. So I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a weird. My childhood was similar but different to yours. Grew up in a somewhat religious household. Was not allowed to listen to like hard rock and heavy metal music, but for some reason, horror movies were fine since the time as like I can remember. Like I can remember literally being in like first and second grade and watching all of these slasher films, and yeah.
I feel like that was the case for so many of my friends' households. It was like sex was off the table, right? If a movie was rated R because it was sexually explicit, no, you can't watch that. But as you can watch as much violence or scares as you want. So I ended up seeing a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have seen. But the other thing was, again, my parents were great. Like they understood me better than I did. However, if something was on TV, like not cable, like a basic television channel, 4, 5, 7, whatever it was back in the day, 10, 12, it was fine, right? It must be fine. It's on TV. Right? They assumed that to be the case. And then one of my friends had videotaped the entire miniseries of Stephen King's It and put it all on one tape for me and my friend Andrew to watch. And we watched it late at night. And my parents were fine with it because it was on Channel 4 or whatever. And dude, I've never been scared of anything more in my life than the original Stephen King's It miniseries. Holy crap. How did that get on television? Like, whoo. Crazy. That was the Resident Evil 7 of my childhood. Wally's now GameCast, specifically White Tiger with a Canadian $2 tip, says, is Andrew a time traveler? What else has he missed? That's a good question. I did see Andrew commenting. I have no idea what Andrew's tastes in movies are and what he's missed, but hope he did say he hasn't seen any of the Conjuring movies though. New Conjuring movie comes out this week. I'm going to go see it Thursday night, I think. And early reviews are promising. I've been hearing it's probably as good as the second one and way better than the third one, but everything's better than the third one.
Oh, and I have one more recommendation too. If you like gory movies that are actually scary with the scary premise, check out Hostel. Oof. Hostel was terrifying.
Yeah, Hostel didn't do it for me. Like Hostel made me was an earlier one, not an earlier one. I mean, it was 2000s, I think, right? But made me realize like what kind of horror I was into, right? Like stuff that was just like fucking straight up brutal or body horror or that kind of stuff. I was like, no. I started realizing at that point, I was like, I'm way more into the supernatural, paranormal stuff, way more into like just things being scary and not grotesque. That's why like I really enjoyed Saw 1. And then really didn't care at all about Saw 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10.
Yeah, Saw 1 was great. And they made all of these sequels. and it seems like they never quite captured what made the first one so great. They just kind of focused on the contraptions and these, they missed the point of why Saw 1 was awesome.
James Wan was awesome, and he made the first one. I don't know if he had anything to do with any of the follow-ups, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. Adam Mirza,
probably James 2 or James 3.
I don't know how to pick up from that. Adam Mirza with the £5 says, just picked up Paper Beast on sale for £3. Trippy as hell. Yeah, I felt kind of bad for saying anything even negative about that game. It's like I don't know what's wrong with me, man. Sometimes things just don't click with me. I don't think Paper Beast really clicked with me, but I totally understand why it's so appealing, and I think it does have a cool visual style and stuff. So I'm glad you're liking that. And I saw some people saying on Twitter as well that they picked it up and that they love it and it's one of their favorite games. And so, I know when I'm in the minority and I can keep my mouth shut. Just like I've decided to do for Reach. Okay.
It's coming, Brian. You can speak about it soon enough.
Yeah, I speak about it with some intelligence instead of gut reactions. Yeah, we got some great viewer takeover questions. I think we're only gonna do one though because we spent a lot of time talking about horror movies to get the ball rolling here. So here's my question for you, Wes, and it comes to us from the Boffin. Remember, you guys, you can submit your viewer takeover questions over on our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Come on over there, and you can leave your question, get it on the show. You don't have to spend any money. The Boffin writes, #viewer takeover. Tomorrow, you win $100 million on the lottery. Bro, it's up past $1 billion here in Massachusetts. $1 billion. Not that I'm going to win it. Right. All right. But tomorrow you win 100 million, which is nothing compared to the billion. Is this the last Gamescast? Do you stay engaged with VR publicly? Start a studio? Buy the rights to develop BioShock? Wes, suddenly money is no problem. We can do whatever we want to. Although I will say $100 million is not a lot of money when it comes to trying to get the rights to BioShock. And
that's very true.
And let's pretend we actually have 100 million and that the government didn't take half of that as they're going to. What do you, from a YouTuber perspective? Let's start with the YouTuber perspective. What's next for you? You suddenly have $100 million in your bank account. What do you do?
Honestly, I would probably do more content. It's difficult to say. Because of the job that I work at, obviously work is work, and it isn't always fun. But at the same time, I do feel like I'm a part of something bigger. Flat to VR Studios and Impact Reality. So I probably wouldn't walk away from it immediately. I would still want to contribute to some point, but the things would need to change. I would be in there more on a voluntary basis and helping out as I can, which would allow me more free time and more time for YouTube and content. YouTube and streaming is something that I do for fun. I don't make any money from it or anything like that. So assuming I would have more leisure time, I would probably hire an editor and someone to kind of help spit the content out and kind of up the production quality on it. But no, this would not be the last Gamescast for me at all.
No Man is an Island in the chat says hire an editor. And that's actually, it's crazy, right? $100 million, suddenly you can do almost anything. I mean, especially compared to, like my current income, it's just a completely different world. It's a completely different way of looking at looking at, you know, how to tackle paying my bills next month, there isn't that concern, right? And I think when you kind of like put that concern away, like it suddenly frees up a little bit more of mind share to be able to get done the things that you want to get done, and being able to hire an editor. I would say maybe a couple editors. Dude, I don't think this would be the last Gamescast. I think Gamescast would suddenly be 7 days a week because this is what I like to do, and I can turn Without Parole into anything I want with, you know, with that amount of money. And so I would be able to play games and write scripts, and then hand 20 hours of gameplay footage and my script over to somebody and say, make a fucking review about, you know, here you go. You do the hard work, and I could focus on the fun stuff, which is Gamescast, which is playing the games, talking about the games, you know, writing reviews and not having to sit there and edit the reviews. You know, I don't think there's not much creativity in PSVR this week, right? Most of what you hear in PSVR this week is me copying and pasting, you know, the press releases or store descriptions, right? Every so often it's like, oh, hey, a new update came out for this game and I played it and here's what I thought about it. But most of it is like copy and paste work. You know, it's just to let you guys know what's coming out. I haven't played those games usually, and if I have, I can't talk about them. So it's like, you know, it's that kind of stuff that you need to work with. That's the kind of stuff that could be passed off to an editor. So I think honestly, I think Without Parole you start seeing 3 times as much content coming out of this channel if suddenly I had a lot of money, and I would love to. I would love to put my name on something. I would love to have like a Without Parole publishing brand, right? I would love to do the thing that I keep telling all these other publishers and developers that they should be doing, which is the flat to VR route, right? No one should be making VR games right now. Everyone should be taking flat screen games and making them VR games. And I would love to be able to contribute to that. So, you know, I don't know what my first game would be that I would go after. BioShock, yes, but I just don't know if you could even get your hands on that, right? Because they are supposedly making a BioShock 4. You know, the original team is making Judas. I just don't know like what the deal is with the rights to that. But I mean, like, I don't know. First game would probably be a horror game. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah, for sure. And I would probably do something similar. I would likely train somebody up to kind of feel my responsibilities at Impact and Flat to VR right now, and then hopefully kind of just move into more of an advisory role where I can, you know, be a part and contribute, you know, my knowledge and opinions, and kind of help shape the marketing around a lot of these titles, which is something I do now already. But kind of the more mundane stuff that I do, I would probably, you know, step down, but not before fully training someone up on kind of how to do what I do.
So fun to pretend that we're rich, isn't it? That'd be so
yeah.
Great. Although I just figured it out as we were talking. The answer's been in front of my face the entire time, Wes, and that's, I would buy the rights to Immortal Legacy, and that would be suddenly be my franchise. I would own it, and we get the first game over to PSVR2, and then I could sit down and I could actually, I think it'd be so much fun to write the sequel, right? Because they wrote themselves into a situation where it's like anything's possible because it's fucking bonkers, right? The story is bonkers. They've got this amazing cast of characters that are also bonkers, and I want to take them into some weird directions, and so I want to write Immortal Legacy 2. And get that game made, and also port Immortal Legacy 1 over. There we go. That's it. That's what I would do with $1 million. And this is why no one's ever going to give me $1 million, because they're like, that's a bad business. I know I'm not going to make my money back, right? Immortal Legacy has a proven track record. Like, I know, but I want to at least go out with a bang. I think it'd be great.
Immortal Legacy 2, Cookie Pie's Revenge.
Oh, no. You get to play as Cookie Pie. Oh, and it would be Cookie Pie's Revenge. Oh man. Okay. You're gonna co-write this with me. This is gonna be great. Ian Stanbridge says Brian's lying. He would make 3 sequels to Neptune Flux. No, but I would try. I honestly, I would definitely try to get lots of games ported over from PSVR 1 to PSVR 2. Like, I mean, this has been the mission statement of the channel for so long, right? That like, if I didn't invest heavily in that kind of stuff, then like I just feel like I'd be letting everybody down, and myself. So Neptune Flux on PSVR 2, yeah, I would try to make it happen.
I'd make a full game out of the Scavenger's Odyssey.
Oh, yes. That would be great. Man, why don't people give us money to get shit done?
Yeah, I don't know. They're dumb, I guess.
12 times as I look forward to when you win. Excellent. All right, listen, speaking of PSVR2 games, we do run a PSVR2 channel, and this is supposed to be about PSVR2 games. So I did want to bring this up, Wes, because I don't want to seem like we have our head in the sand, and that we're not aware of when this stuff happens around us. However, recently, within the last couple of days, the Underdogs developers came out on Reddit and said that their game isn't selling great on PSVR2. So let's see if we can't get that up on the screen, read through it, and extract whatever we can from it. Because I'm really curious, man. Right? Like so frequently on this channel, we're talking about how games sell better on PSVR2. Like that's like just sort of been very, very commonplace. And so when something doesn't sell better on PSVR2, I feel like there's probably something to learn here. So let's take a look. All right, so it says, our game Underdogs is selling 90% less on PSVR than Quest or PC. Can you help me figure out why? This is from a developer at One Hamsa. Let me blow this up because the print's small. Sup, everyone? I'm one of the devs of a game called Underdogs. See the trailer. Our game came out over a year ago on Quest and PC, and it was finally ported to PSVR a few months ago. It's an indie mech brawler we designed for people like us, adult gamers. When we came out, the VR demographics changed a lot, and after months of adjusting our marketing and learning how to reach these potential customers, I can say we're doing all right. We still live hand to mouth, but comparatively, we're selling well on Quest and PC VR, especially considering we're not the free-to-play jank slop kind of stuff that usually does so well in the Quest store. When we finally found the right partner to port the game to PSVR 2, why do they keep saying PSVR instead of PSVR 2? And it points to perp games. I thought it would do well. The PSVR community is the type of audience we originally intended the game for. However, we're seeing almost insignificant sales. My leading theory is simply marketing. Our entire marketing approach is geared to reach a younger audience through our socials mostly. And we have no idea how to reach you guys and tell you about our game. And God knows the PlayStation Store algorithm is absolutely no help at all. Sirens on my end. But maybe I'm just misjudging the market a bit. Maybe it's not the type of game PSVR players would like. Indie games aren't really the bread and butter of consoles, or maybe it's too physical for most. Anyway, I posted here before and found the community to be super welcoming and insightful, so I thought it wouldn't hurt to ask for your opinions on the matter. Thanks for taking the time. And then it kind of blew up and he edited, and holy shit, this kind of exploded. So listen, I'm really, really happy. Obviously, if you read through the responses, you'll see a lot of people's names that you're familiar with. You'll see a lot of people really trying to help these developers out. I think we've fostered and we are part of a very, very positive community, and we're a community that like really does want PSVR 2 to succeed and the games on it to succeed. So I was really happy to see all the positive responses to it. But I thought, Wes, I think you might be the absolute right person to be the co-host during this discussion. So what are your initial thoughts on what he's saying here?
It's all your fault.
I know.
It's completely your fault, Brian, because honestly, I can't remember if I tried Underdogs on PSVR 2 or not. But I did play it on the other platforms before it came over. And despite it being one of these games that it relies on like gorilla tag style movement, which I typically hate, I really liked in Underdogs. I thought it was fun minute-to-minute gameplay. I thought the progression system was great. I thought the vibe of like the art and the sound, I thought was like outstanding, like over the top awesome. And some really cool concepts too, with kind of how you upgrade and how you can choose to be a thief, or you can and maybe get ahead, take shortcuts to get ahead. But if you get caught, you burn your bridges with these specific vendors. Like it was had some surprising depth to it in that way. versus other kind of these brawler style games. So when it came over and you weren't very impressed with it, I was really surprised at it, and I'm not sure if it was just a bad port or if you guys the game just didn't land with you the same way it did with me. Um, so again, I just think it's all your fault for underrating it.
And I think this is a good place to start, right? Because because my initial, I'm always thinking like, oh, like, like how could I help, or what did, what did I do wrong, because I was, raised Catholic, and so like every Catholic guilt is an inseparable part of my daily routine. So it's okay. Listen, to put it in context, right? This came out during a really bad time for me. And so, and I remember just like not wanting to put on the headset and not being interested in a lot of the games that were coming out. And I was looking for something bigger and beefier and meatier. And when I finally did put the headset on, I remember being like, okay, well, I'm in a mech. I'm just going to put the headset on, sit on my couch and drive the mech, right? And push buttons to punch and do that kind of stuff. I just didn't know that that's not what this game was. And so I was like, oh, right. I got to stand up and I got to be physical. And so for me personally, like I don't think perp games, from where I stand, did what they could, at least to get coverage on Without Parole. They gave me plenty of lead time. They got the game to me weeks before launch, right? And I was just in a bad place mentally, and I just didn't want to play VR, and I definitely didn't feel like being physical in VR. So and I'm like, well, how much reach do I have, right? You look at people. We've got like 100-something thousand subscribers over here, but then you look at views on reviews. Like I didn't do a review because I didn't play enough, right? We did some kind of first impression coverage on GAMESCAST, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, it's like maybe not for me. And it's partially because of the physicality of it at the time, right? Like sometimes I want to get into VR and really fucking get into it and swing my arms and kick ass, because this game lets you do that. But then between fights, I was just really underwhelmed with how all of that worked, right? How the whole roguelite progression system of it works. It's all menu driven. So it's a massive contrast to how the gameplay is, right? Here you are, you're swinging your arms and you're like cutting other robots with a buzzsaw, and you're smashing things and moving around with almost like a gorilla tag style movement system. And then between matches, you're like, click. Do I want to do this? Click. And it's all menu driven. It just feels really boring. And I was like, wow, this is such a stark contrast. It's like the two styles don't mesh well together for me. But I think it's a good game, and I think the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it. And I kind of came out of my funk, and I played it a little bit more, and I was like, yeah, this is good. I want to get around to reviewing this someday, and I will. Right. However, if I get an actual review out on the channel, might get 20,000 views. How many of those 20,000 are actually going to go over to the store, wishlist it, buy it, wait for a sale, right? We're talking pretty small numbers. Every little bit helps in the VR space, right? So I'm not trying to take away any responsibility that I might have in order to get the word out about this game, because that's what we do here. If it's a good game, we want to get the word out and let people know about it. And I'm bummed that that my first impressions weren't great. And then by the time I kind of came around to it, it was sort of like old news. But there's obviously more to the equation, right? Like without Parole doesn't dictate what happens in the VR space, even the PSVR2 space, right? There's way more to this. And I really want to figure that out, because Cube sold fine, and I never reviewed Cube, and I wasn't that big on Cube, right? So there's more to this, and I really want to kind of dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I agree. It would be interesting to be able to do a case study to kind of see what these other titles are doing differently than Underdogs, because it would be easy for me to point to the PlayStation Store and say this storefront sucks.
Yeah.
Like there's no screenshots, there's no trailers. Like people literally like if you go to Quest or Steam, either one, they have a store uh, where the the games that are featured more prominently are determined by an algorithm. So it's dynamic, right? When a game starts to get some momentum, it moves up the store page and gets in front of more people's eyes. Once it gets in front of people's eyes and they click on it, like they're immediately met with the trailer with um a full parade of thumbnails, and then front and center the description of the game. With the Sony store, you click on the key art and you see a bigger version of the key art and the price. And then if you want to scroll and read a little bit through all of the plain text, you'll eventually get some description in there. But there are no assets. There's nothing there to really show what the game is. So that would be a general indicator of why games in general might not do as well on the PlayStation Store. But that doesn't explain why Cube sells big, why Arcane Age sells big, but Underdogs doesn't. And that is a bit more of a mystery. We would have to kind of look at what they're doing externally, on social media, on Reddit, what have you. How did these other games manage to reach the PSVR2 community while this one, for whatever reason, didn't? I wish I had more answers to offer up here, but it really is a mystery.
Well, as Waleed says, with $2 Canadian in the chat, it launched close to Hitman. It might have been the same day, and a lot of people have a huge backlog of 2024 games. So it's funny. It's so funny when you talk to people in PR, and what common sense dictates works when it comes to marketing, and then what PR people think work when it comes to marketing. Right? It's really, really interesting because the common sense part of my brain says, "Well, dude, don't launch on the same day as Hitman. That's so dumb. Don't do it." Right? And then give Hitman some time to breathe, give it a couple weeks, or make sure, or maybe you launch before Hitman. Like if you know Hitman's coming, fucking get out of the way, right? This is why other games are not launching anywhere near Grand Theft Auto 6, because they know their games are just going to get trounced, ignored, and then left to die on whatever store they come out on. But you talk to a PR person, and they're going to say, "Bro, there's a lot of people who haven't touched their PSVR2 headsets in a while. They're going to pick up their PSVR2 headset when Hitman comes out, because that's a big name. Like Hitman's going to convince people to dust off their headset or buy a headset, and we want to ride that wave. You're right. When that game comes out, we want to play it, and then see what else does PSVR2 have to offer. And then like if the newest game on the store next to Hitman is Underdogs, this makes no sense to me. But this is another strategy. That's not the common sense strategy, but it is definitely a strategy. And I don't know if it works or not, but I've heard this very recently. Today, I've heard this as an explanation as to why this might have happened. So,
yeah, I mean, there's some validity to that to some extent. Typically, you don't want to go the same day as a blockbuster like that. Not only because everyone's dollars are getting taken away, but everyone's attention's being taken away. But you can very effectively ride those coattails, like you said. Hitting that sweet spot 2 weeks later, when people are finishing with that and want something else, can be effective. It's also not very good if you're trying to land like articles and stuff. When you're talking about VR media, there's not a lot of it to go around. There's pretty much Upload VR, there's Road to VR, and then there's like a couple dozen smaller ones that most people don't even know about. So really, Upload VR is it. You're shooting to get an article on Upload. But if you're in this position where you've already launched on Quest and Steam, and now you're coming over to PSVR2, you're already a lot less likely to get covered because they've already covered your game. Right?
Yeah.
Are they going to do a whole new article just to say it's coming to PSVR2? I mean, if you're a notable studio or a notable franchise, maybe. But if you're an indie trying to just get eyeballs on your game coming to, a smaller platform, not very much so. But again, that begs the question, how much does an article on Upload VR really convert to sales on the PlayStation Store? I would think not much. So again, it is a bit of a mystery. I know the long term, the kind of key to long term success on the VR marketplace is staying forefront of mind over time. Making sure that VR gamers see your game and then they see it again and they see it again, and eventually they see it 7, they see it 10 times. Something registers with them and they decide to look into it and find out more. Obviously, they have a strategy of through social posting that seems to be getting traction with the other audiences available on the other platforms. But whatever they're doing there is not landing with the PSVR2 community. So that's really the question.
We're a different audience.
Reach these people?
Right, yeah. We're a different audience too. It's not just how do you reach these people. It's the fact that you've got to understand that Quest gamers tend to skew younger, and PSVR2 gamers tend to skew older. Right, console gamers or PS5 gamers tend to be older. The PS5 is expensive. The PlayStation VR2 is expensive, and a lot of us, like we're older. So sometimes, listen, I like to stand while I play VR games. I don't mind an active VR game. When I played this game, I wasn't in the mood for it. But I think when I conveyed that to the people during that GAMESCAST, there were a lot of people going, I don't want to move. I want to sit on my couch and I want to play VR, and I'm not going to swing my arms and even just when it comes to the locomotion system, do this, right? This feels like they're trying to capitalize on the gorilla tag movement system, and it's like, okay, listen, that's fine, but like it might not be for our audience so much, right? It's a little. I think maybe we would like to move around with analog sticks. We're old. That's just another stab in the dark. When it comes to marketing. So Andrew Ehrenreich with the $2 in the chat says, "Does Underdogs have multiplayer? Bring back the catnip games." Multiplayer is a big seller in VR, right? And this is what I always find fascinating. They launched the game and then immediately were like, "We're bringing multiplayer," and I think the people who wanted multiplayer were like, "Sure, let us know when it gets multiplayer, and then we'll buy it," right? Like, I think the more I think about this, I'm like, there's like a million little reasons. I don't think they made one big mistake. I think they made a million little mistakes. And so it's like, yeah, dude, it's like, I don't know, maybe you wait for multiplayer to be done and then bring the whole package over to PSVR2. PSVR2 gamers are used to not being beta testers. We're used to not having stuff in early access. We're used to the Quest players and the PC players working out all the kinks, and then we get the final version over here on PSVR2. And so maybe that's what people are waiting for. And it's like, if people want it for multiplayer, well, why would they buy it on day one at full price when if we got to wait 6 months or a year for the multiplayer mode, it's probably going to go on sale between now and then, right? Like, we've got such a backlog of games. Why would you rush out and buy a new game that doesn't even have the feature you're waiting for yet? So it's a lot of little things. And then I checked my Twitter account, and I checked One Hams's Twitter account, and I checked their Underdogs Twitter account. Again, if you put any stock into Without Parole having any pull, neither one of those accounts follows me. Neither one.
That's a good point.
We don't see them on our Discord, right? We've corralled all the PSVR2 gamers into one Discord, right? We allow developers to come in and post news about their upcoming game or their existing game in our news channel. They have a one-stop shop to engage with the most active PSVR2 players on the planet. And they're not here, right? You know who is here? Blake Stone from Arcanage, right? You want to figure out why Arcanage sold better? Because the messaging was better. He was able to interact with the players a whole lot better and get the news out there, like immediately, get it in front of everybody's eyes. You got to use the tools at your disposal. And we have created the best tool for all PSVR2 developers and publishers to use with our Discord. it's the easiest way to get your news in front of people and talk to the people who are going to be playing your game or the people who are already playing your game. And it's like, bro, you know, I put out a pretty, I don't know, man. It felt aggressive when I typed it, but I did say something along the lines of like, fuck PR firms and fuck money hungry YouTubers. We have a Discord, utilize it. I tweeted this out yesterday, and it wasn't to be mean to anybody. It was to say, we understand that margins on VR games are thin. We understand that indie developers don't have the money to be spending on this sometimes. And so it's like, why wouldn't you use the free resource that we've given you? We've cultivated this over the last 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it's been. And it's like, we're just giving it to you on a fucking silver platter. Utilize it.
That's true. Especially with regard to like the social media, like it's social media 101. That if you want people to follow your account and follow your game, you have to follow people. You know, follow influencers, follow the people who are talking about VR. A lot of them will automatically follow you back if you follow them. And now all of a sudden you're part of the conversation. You get active. You start commenting on other conversations that don't have anything to do with your game. And just that act of engaging with the community brings eyeballs and attention to you over time. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that one. And with regards to the multiplayer, like hopefully that's something that's still coming, because that is a significant beat and is very much a second chance for this game to get in front of people's eyes. Do a multiplayer trailer, do a whole full out, again, I know, like Brian said, the margins are thin. You can't do a lot, but you can do a trailer. You can do a press release, and you can get on social media. You can come to the Discord and talk about this and let people know that this is coming and get people excited about it. Hello, Miles.
Also, hey, Miles. Also, I think they might have also been victims of bad timing, right? By the time this game came out, how many people in our community, how many PSVR2 gamers were just so fucking sick of hearing the word roguelite every single time a new game was announced, or every single time a new game came out. It was like, bro, it's like it's an oversaturated subgenre that like some people are just like, you know what, I've had my share, man. I've played way too many. I've played way too many over the years, and it's like I just can't do one more. Not now, right? I've really enjoyed a lot of roguelites, but I think by the time this came out, I was kind of done with them too. So again, death by a million cuts, or whatever the expression is.
I gotta say, it is unfortunate that I believe they trailed Big Shots, which is a very similar game. It's a mech roguelike that does have multiplayer, but it does not hold a candle to Underdog. Underdog is like 10 times better than Big Shots, in my opinion. And maybe Big Shots turned off a lot of PSVR2 gamers to this specific genre of game.
Yeah, we just got one. It wasn't like we even had like 2 years. It was like months between the releases. So yeah, man, it's totally possible. So but the good thing is that I don't think the story's been fully written yet. I think like you said, they do have a second chance with multiplayer. I think they can definitely get some more people in with sales. As I've said, like I've come around on this game. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did when I first played it, because I'm not, in a fucking miserable state of mind. Again, when I first played it, this I 100% admit that was on me. I just wasn't feeling anything at that time. But I've come around, and I think what they've done is really good. I think the PSVR2 port could be better, to be honest with you. I gotta try to pull memories out from a place that doesn't contain memories. But if I remember right, it's using like reprojection. The fog it's using, like that brown fog that's in all of the trailers, that's very, very present in the game, and it just feels, it doesn't feel like they're using any of the deep blacks from the OLED panel. And like, I think PSVR2 gamers really, really appreciate when you've taken advantage of the headset. Right, when we rant and rave about when a game runs at 90 native, we rant and rave when adaptive triggers feel so good, or there's headset rumble at the right time. Like, this is the kind of stuff that like these are the reasons we own a PSVR2 headset, and these are the type things that have pushed immersion through the roof this generation. And when we get a game that doesn't like fully utilize this stuff, we're like, doesn't, you know, it's not a great port, right? Even if it's a great game, it's like, oh, it's not a great port, and it does use some of these things, right? But it doesn't use all of them. So I don't think their story is done. I think they could definitely tap into a lot more PSVR2 gamers with a few updates, and hopefully when that multiplayer thing drops, maybe they can put it on a nice deep sale and get a lot more people in, a lot more people playing. And with any luck, I'll actually review this thing at some point, and you know, I can get another 20 people to buy it.
And give us stick movement too. Like, well, while you're at it, make this a stick movement game. Make it a game where you can go forward, backwards, left and right, and rotate. You should be able to strafe and rotate in this game. And while I will say that, you know, the Gorilla Tag movement is serviceable, I did not stand to play it. I played it seated and it works just fine. It certainly would have been a lot more fun if I didn't have to swing my arms like a madman.
The VR Resistance with the level 1 membership says Gorilla Tag style movement, roguelite, and Hitman. I think we just summed up the entire conversation in
there you go.
one sentence. Well done. Yeah, no, listen, I generally am of the opinion that developers should make the game that they want to make. If they think the movement should be like this, then go for it. Go for it. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. But also, the market is too small. There's not enough people with a PSVR2 headset to say, if you don't like it, fuck you. Like, you gotta. I think you do have to make some concessions, and if you can make the game fair and playable by using analog sticks, then I think you're going to capture a lot more of the audience. You know, Colin Loves. I hate to keep going on and on about this. Colin Love says it's a kids game. I don't know if it is, but the vibe of the entire thing definitely seems like it's trying to be edgy. Like, listen, as somebody who has a fucking, you know, sailor's mouth, I swear all the time. I can't control it, right? But I'm not sitting here trying to be edgy. I'm just like, I just have a horrible vernacular and I swear a lot. This game feels like it's trying to be edgy. It feels like it's trying to, like, you know, trying too hard to be something. And it's just like, dude, just relax a little bit. Not everything has to be, oh yeah, what's like the underbelly of this world. Just relax a little bit. It doesn't need to be that serious. I don't know. It's almost like you can tell when things are trying to be too edgy. And so that's why when Colin Love says it's a kid's game, that's what I'm getting from it. Is like, oh, they're trying to appeal to kids and make it seem more adult by being edgier. And I'm like, and that turned me off. It's like I saw through the veneer, and I wasn't a big fan of that. But again, I think that's a relatively minor complaint for a game that's pretty good. So should we change the thumbnail and the title of the video to "Why Didn't Underdogs Sell Better"? Because that's
sure.
The whole conversation.
Why didn't Underdogs sell better? Arcane Age sells big.
Yep, nailed it. All right. Hey Wes, we got an announcement of a new PSVR2 game, an old PS4, PS5 game coming out next year on PlayStation VR2. That was a really weird way of saying that. And it's not The Evil Within. It's Evil Inside. This is a game. It makes me, when somebody names their game Evil Inside, do you think that they're trying to make people think that it's Evil Within accidentally? Like, is that a marketing
Perhaps
strategy?
But it is called Evil Inside VR, so which, you know, is kind of funny because Inside VR is exactly where you will experience it at. This evil that they speak of. Yeah, maybe Evil Within, Evil Inside. It's very similar. Certainly, it's directly where your mind goes anytime anyone mentions it. So yeah, that's probably intentional.
Well, this is coming out in 2026. It is a PSVR 2 version. It seems like a separate SKU of an existing PlayStation flat screen game. I was checking out some reviews on Steam just to kind of get an idea of what we should expect from this quality wise. The reviews are mixed. It came out on Steam 4 years ago in 2021. the flat screen version. Somebody says lots of this is the first one that shows up is a negative review with less than an hour on record. Lots of cheap jump scares. He says I understand some, but at a point during the game, I found myself yawning as they tried to jump scare me. As it happened every couple of minutes, it felt like the story was meh. I get what happened, but I lost the hype for the game. I kept wandering aimlessly. Didn't even get to use the Ouija board. But then there's some positive ones. Somebody said this game's pretty nice and short. Scared the crap out of me. It's pretty good. Somebody said it's a PT clone with an actual beginning and an end. Story's very basic and done many times. Also not an explanation as to what actually happened. Sound and visuals are okay. Scares were hit and miss. If this is your first horror game, it might be all right. Either that or be completely drunk. I've never heard that in a review before. Shout out to Abomination72 because apparently when games aren't good, maybe they're better when you're drunk.
This looks like precisely the type of garbage that I love.
Thank you.
I don't expect everyone to agree with this, but I just like these types of games. I like these horror games that put me in an indoors environment and shit just goes sideways. And they're all very similar, typically. And I'm perfectly okay with that just because this is my bread and butter. It's my jam. And I guess if you have bread, butter, and jam, you have a pretty good sandwich. So,
yeah, listen, if they can nail the visuals, like, based on this, it's, it looks okay, right? But like if they can make this look pretty realistic inside the headset and get it to be nice and sharp and, actually convince you that you're there, that's half of the job. That's half of the job done for you. You feel like you're in this house and you throw some scares at me and I'm happy. This actually pertains to the conversation we had earlier, Wes, about horror movies, right? I don't need stuff to be complicated. I just want to be in a haunted house. Let's fucking go. Like, and that seems like what this is going to be. And as you said before the show, a 6 out of 10 flat screen game can easily be an 8 out of 10 VR game, right?
That's absolutely right, especially when it comes to horror games. It just hits different when you're in the game. And if the visuals are crisp and the sound design, like the spatial audio, is just baseline decent, then you've already got a 5 out of 10 just to start with, right? So yeah, like I'm actually kind of looking forward to this, and I hope we get a dozen more of these between now and then.
Yeah, for sure. And plus, there's something. I know we're at the end of 2025, but there's something really nice about seeing 2026 as a release window. Like I don't need any more games to be announced for 2025. We're full up, dude. Right? We got, I think, the last count 15 games that I'm really, really interested coming out in the next 3 months. Which brings us to our next news story. There's another game coming out for PSVR2 next week that was just announced.
Oh,
yeah, crazy. It's called Surviving Mars Pioneer. We knew this game was coming. But we did not know that it was coming so soon. They announced, or I'm sorry, you announced earlier today that Surviving Mars Pioneer from Flat to VR Studios. Remember, everybody, Wes works for Impact and Flat to VR, so just keep that in mind, right? Means you can't trust his opinion worth a damn, but we're here for it anyway. This is coming out next week. What should we know about Surviving Mars Pioneer, Wes? This is exciting.
Well, you already said the first thing that we should know, and that is I work for this company. So, take that as you will. I will say that I haven't played it on PlayStation VR2 yet, but I have talked to others that have, and they're holding this up, as they should, as the definitive version of the game. Basically, PSVR2 is where you want to play it at. It does support most of PSVR2 specific features. There's advanced haptics. There's headset rumble. There's actually eye tracking and DFR being used here, even though it's not necessary. The game, before they implemented DFR, was already running the higher visual quality that is on par with the PC version at 90 frames per second natively. So they didn't need the DFR. but they went ahead. This is Bulwark Games, the developer of
Genotype.
Genotype. These guys
Fuck
are
yeah.
good. These are good developers. So they went ahead and put the DFR in there anyway. And what they're using it for is for some background super sampling. So this thing is going to render, I don't know what the number is, but it's going to render more than 100% resolution. So it should be super sharp in the headset. It should be super tactile through the controllers and through the headset rumble. And yeah, it was a popular title, very well received on Steam and MetaQuest. And from what I'm hearing, the best version is yet to come.
Awesome. This is so interesting. I just went to see, I was like, I don't have an official PSVR2 trailer. And so I searched YouTube for Surviving Mars Pioneer PSVR2 trailer. And it's funny.
We don't. Yeah. There's not a PSVR2 trailer yet, but there is a new trailer. I don't know if it's public yet, but I can get you a link for it if that helps.
Well, what's funny is that 5 months ago on the official PlayStation YouTube channel, there's an announcement trailer for Surviving Mars Pioneer. However, the video title is called Surviving Mars VR Announcement Trailer PSVR2 games. It doesn't say Pioneer anywhere except in the thumbnail. Interesting.
Yeah, that would have probably been like one of the very early announcements that we made, and then we were probably making 4 other announcements at that very same time, if I had to guess. But no, there is a brand new trailer out that it was shot with the Steam VR version, but in terms of like the assets, the in-game like models and things, it's all 1-for-1 with PlayStation. So you can expect it to look like what that trailer looks like.
Oh, you sent me some screenshots before the show, so we got
that
some
I did,
exclusive
and
stuff.
yeah, no one has seen those screenshots yet.
All right, well, let's check out some of these screenshots. Here we go. This is here. Let's zoom in on this a little bit more. What is the gameplay loop here? I know that we're not like breaking any news here as far as like what the gameplay or what the game is. I know a lot of people have played like early access versions of this game, but like I think a lot of people would say this looks a lot like base building in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, that's a good description. I'd call it kind of a No Man's Sky light. It's a casual survival game set on Mars, taken after the more popular flat surviving Mars, but a completely different genre. The flat surviving Mars was like a city builder type game, kind of God mode type, typical city builder, where this is a first person built from the ground up VR game that actually puts you down there and tasks you with building out the base yourself and exploring the landscape, mining for materials, all of your typical space-based survival game stuff available here.
It's so funny. This is coming on the heels of Into Black, right? Like Into Black, just that's the game everyone's been playing for the last week or two, and it felt like a slice of No Man's Sky, and then the next big PSVR2 game we get is another slice of No Man's Sky. So I find it really interesting. I wonder. As I told people already, Into Black is what convinced me that I should get into No Man's Sky. I should be spending time playing that game because I love what Into Black is doing. And so I wonder if Pioneer will just double that feeling for me and be like, yeah, Brian, this is where you should be spending your time. Is this? I can play this trailer that you just sent me. I can show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
this is out. Okay. Let's go. We can go full screen on this and get this up and running. Where is it? This is great though because again, like we've got a lot of stuff. Here's the new trailer, you guys. We've got a lot. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff coming to PSVR 2, but it seems like most of it is happening October and November, as it tends to. Right, so beating the rush and coming out in September, I think is pretty good. We don't have a ton of stuff happening this month, although do we I guess we don't have a release window for Zero Caliber yet. They just released a new trailer yesterday or the day before, and for PSVR2 specifically. So that is coming soon too. But my guess is that's not going to be out in September. So I think Pioneer has carved out its own little space here. So I think this is going to work out pretty well.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, man, do we have stuff for PSVR2 coming between now and the end of the year. More to share on that in the coming weeks, but we got a lot of love coming the PSVR way to finish out 2025.
All right, so let's see if we can make some guesses about that. Let's see. I think RoboQuest is still supposed to come this year, so that's maybe
true.
We'll get a release date for that. Out of Sight, I think is supposed to be coming this year, so maybe we'll get a release date on that. And I have no idea. Where in development Flat Out is. And like that could be next week, or that could be like 2027.
That's not coming. No, that's not coming anytime soon.
Okay, good. Yeah, dude, September's looking pretty wide open here, so this is going to be good. All right, everyone get excited. No Man's Sky Light V2 will be out next week. I think this is next. Is it next Friday? Is that what the deal is?
Next Friday. That's right. And honestly, it was supposed to drop with everything else, but typical PlayStation stuff happened behind the scenes, and it wasn't resolved in time. So we do have a little bit of a between the 1.0 launch on the other platforms and the PlayStation launch, but it'll be well worth the wait, I assure you.
Looper says V-Racer hover bike.
Oh, there's that too.
He says that too. That means we haven't named something. Come on, chat. You can figure this out. This is like 20 questions, but not.
Here's the thing. They can't. They can't figure it out. It's impossible.
Oh, it's something unannounced? Is that what you're saying? Something unannounced?
No, I'm not announcing something that's unannounced, Brian. I would never do such a thing.
Are you not announcing something that's unannounced?
I'm intentionally being vague here, Brian. I'm just saying we got lots.
Yeah,
we got lots of stuff coming.
I'm just doing it for the sake of the chat because I think they would get mad if I didn't push it. All right, let's check in with the chat a little bit here because there's some tips rolling in, and let's see what they've got to say. Man, lots of sirens today, as if that's different than any other day. We got Miles in the chat with the level 2 membership. What's up, Miles? Says PSVR2 Surviving Mars. Pioneer propels precision-powered pioneers towards perilous planetary progression as September's full-scale space sim soars. Do I win a prize for almost nailing that?
Very good, Brian. Very, very, very good, Miles. Way to go.
It's a lot of P's and S's. I wonder if there's a hidden meaning there. Emmanuel Bose with the $5 says, I had a question for Wes about flat to VR, but I'm a few drinks in now and I can't remember it. Here's pizza money. Love you guys. We love you too, man. Thanks so much for the support. We got AJ from The Underground, PSVR Underground with the $2 tip. Everybody go check out his Hidden Gems video. He says, Matt Damon VR. The Martian. Matt Damon's The Martian.
Yeah.
We get Josh in the chat. Waterside guy, what's up, dude? With the $5 says, what I can't understand is why all indie horror games are not in VR. Sadly, I miss great horror games because they're not in VR. I mean, why aren't all games in VR? I mean, like,
why isn't Blair Witch on PSVR 2
or Paranormal Activity?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, I know, man. Like it's baffling. These games seem like they wouldn't require a whole lot of work, like, I mean, especially when most of it is just like walking through and not a ton of interactions. Although I gotta say, Blair Witch on PSVR 1, that was it Bloober Team or Incuvo? I can't never remember. There's always
I'm pretty sure it was Bloober Team. Bloober Team at least published it. Maybe Incuvo did the development on it, but that game was excellent on every platform. It was great on Quest. It was great on Steam. Great on PSVR. The way that they did the button mapping on the camera to make it mimic the controller, like
Yes.
1-to-1 with the button layout, was just so next level. It was awesome, and a great story. A perfect way to tell a story in a horror game. The way they did it in that. Just an exceptional game.
Yep. And so and there's significant. I mean, obviously you can play Blair Witch in a lot of different places, but if you only have a PSVR2, then you're kind of stuck without it. There's plenty of games, horror games are stuck on PSVR1. I mean, the one we go back to all the time is Here They Lie. It's just, and that game was played with. Correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, because it's been so long, and I know you play it like every year, so you've got a better memory on this. That game didn't use the moves, right?
No, that was a gamepad game.
So like, how it's like zero actual VR interactions. Like, is okay. Maybe you can help me out because I tend to think that VR.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. It was a walking sim, so there weren't really a lot of interactions to be had. But it was a tracked gamepad game, and your flashlight was in the controller, so you could kind of move your controller around with your flashlight.
Wow. It's so funny because if I hadn't thought about this previously, I 100 in my head, you've got two hands in that game and you're walking around just doing boop 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 with move controllers, right? But like we've talked about this game enough that we're like I've had to kind of correct that in my head. It also didn't have like good turning. There's so many things. Terrible. Right, it did the blink turning thing where you would turn, it would fade out and fade back in like 15 degrees to the right, and then again, right?
Yeah, and that was the better of the options. Like there was another option that had like smooth turning ish, I think, but they had this kind of like course correction so that the thing would still slowly kind of drift back into your field of view. And it really just made people sick, is all it did. So that you pretty much had to use the blink turning if you wanted to play comfortably.
Dude, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. This game, I mean, this game looks beautiful, right? There's so much detail in the world. And I know that like, on the original PS4, we started up and we're like, oh, this is kind of blurry, but on the Pro, it looks so much better. And there's so much detail. And this unique sepia tone style world and all the trippy visuals. It tells a great story along the way. I mean, it's just everything you want from a horror game. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm so mad. And I think I could be wrong. I think this one was Sony funded. I think it was published by Sony.
That's correct.
Like, so frustrating. But yeah, we agree with you, Josh. I don't understand why all horror games aren't in VR. I don't understand why more PSVR1 games aren't PSVR2. The same conversation we have every single episode, which is, I'm sure, frustrating to hear sometimes because it's frustrating. It's a frustrating conversation to have sometimes.
It does make me a little bit excited though, because it is, we are approaching October, which is, typically my PSVR1 month, where I do dust off the old headset and revisit some stuff. Here They Lie at the bare minimum, but typically we like to get some Farpoint in and some Rush of Blood while we're at it. So
yeah, a little Rush of Blood goes a long way. Sorry, I'm caught up on the chat. Shout out to Emmanuel Bose with who's gifted one without Parole membership. Woohoo! Thank you for your generosity. Also, looks like Dan Kiefer got that membership. Congrats, Dan. All right, man. Listen, I think we've talked about a lot of different stuff today, and I think it's probably time to do a little 4-minute challenge and wrap this thing up, and then I can change the thumbnail and the headline of the show.
Right.
I mean, I think it's only fair. It's what we spend all the time talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, we need to do it just so that the developer will watch and take all of the free advice that we put their way.
No, they're not going to watch. Here, I'm gonna read off this tip, and then I'm gonna let you handle it while I pick a game. Joseph Orchard, 1215 with the $5 tip says, do you think Skyrim will ever be back in VR? PSVR 1 port or a new one for PSVR 2?
I want to say yes, that we would get a port. But I would have thought we would have seen it by now. You know what I mean? Like that should have happened already. There is a higher quality version of Skyrim VR on Steam. That should be fairly easy to port over here. And we all know how much Bethesda loves to recycle their games. But with that said, since then, Bethesda has been picked up by Microsoft. And that might explain why we don't have it over here already, and why we. So probably not. I would think so. If it were still just Bethesda, I would think that we probably would already have it. But since we don't, then we probably won't.
Just double checking one thing before I pick this game. Just want to make sure that I have got the right release date. I think I do. All right, cool. I picked a game. I don't, man. It would be nice to have Skyrim back on PSVR or in VR, but man, give me some Fallout. Give me some Fallout. We were teased with Fallout VR for almost the entire PSVR 1 generation. Remember that when we had like even like accidental GameStop listings with like box art and everything of Fallout 4 coming to PSVR 1. We were like so convinced it was going to happen. It must any time now. Blah blah blah. It must have gotten deep into development and then canceled. There's got to be a story there.
It's so good too. Even if you like don't even try to progress the campaign, just to live and scavenge in that world in VR is so awesome.
All right, man, I've got a game. You guys know how this works. 4-minute challenge. I picked a game, PSVR 1 or PSVR 2, and it's up to you guys out there and this guy right over here to figure out what game that is. You've only got you've only got 4 minutes, but an infinite number of yes or no questions to ask. So make sure you ask good questions in the chat that Wes should be asking me, and then supply good games based on the answers that you get. I don't know if this is a good game to pick, but I'm rolling with it. I think, do we have a win streak? I think we have a win streak. Win streak of 2, win streak of 3.
It was 2 when I won last week. So I don't know what you've done since then.
Were you on Wednesday's show last week? Why are you guessing again?
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing, but I was just taking your word for it. Sometimes that's how it goes.
Oh, well, AJ did it on Monday's show, so I was trying to just kind of get back on track, back on schedule. So let's roll with it. Sure. Unless you got a game that you really want me to guess.
No, I don't have one. I can pick one, but
yeah. All right. Well, no, listen. What am I doing? If you guessed last week, then you shouldn't be guessing this week. Pick a game. I'll talk to the chat. Yo, is Fallout 76 still a thing? VR Resistance says Fallout 76 in VR. Is it? I know that it is. Is it still active?
I think so. I see people talking about it on Discord, playing it.
Man, talk about a 180. I remember when that game came out, it seemed like anybody was happy with it. The fact that it's still going and that people are playing it, that's great to hear. Good to turn shit around.
All right. So I've got a title picked out for this, and it's an evil one. I'll give you a little clue there that this is an evil one. It's going to be hard to nail down.
Oh, no. All right, you guys, I'm going to need all the help you can give me. On my mark, get Des. Go. Is this on PSVR 1?
Yes.
Is it also on PSVR 2?
No.
Is it on other headsets other than PSVR 1?
No.
Oh. Was this a launch PSVR 1 game?
Checking that out right now. I don't think so, but give me a second here and I'll tell you.
While you're looking it up, did we mention it on today's show?
Kind of. Got mentioned in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Not by name. We didn't say it by name, but we spoke of it.
Okay. Marky, I was wondering if it's first person.
I would consider this to be a launch title. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. There's definitely first person gameplay here.
Okay. PSVR 1 only launch title, first person gameplay. Is it also have third person stuff going on?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I think it's all first person.
I what the hell is the name of that game that I'm thinking of right now? Is this by, what was Outer Loop called before Outer Loop? This isn't a Chandana Ekanayake game, is it?
No.
Okay, that takes care of that game that I can't think of the name of right now. Is there a soccer ball involved?
Not specifically, no.
What? Okay. Is there movement? Is there full locomotion?
At times, yes. There are times that you have free movement. Kind of, yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna say yes.
I think Looper's onto something. Was this a game in PSVR Worlds?
Well, yes.
Were you in the ocean?
The game is PSVR Worlds. The title is PSVR Worlds. Right.
Wait,
I didn't pick a game in PSVR Worlds. I picked PSVR Worlds.
Oh, so I just won?
You just won. Yeah, it is Worlds.
That felt so anticlimactic. It's like...
Yeah, we talked about Scavenger's Odyssey earlier, so we did kind of talk about the title, but I didn't know I could pick titles within the title. I thought I had to pick Worlds.
I mean, listen, you said it was hard mode, so I figured you probably picked a game within the game. Just like because Dread Halls is like part of HeroCade, right? But you can pick Dread Halls. I think
that's true. I always forget that Dread Halls was part of a compilation. But
because
yeah,
everything else in the compilation sucked.
My thinking is, with this being a compilation, that most of the questions are going to be yes, right? Because there's what 5 different games in there, and that's why I thought it would be hard mode. My only I thought the only key that might clue you off to what it was the question you asked. Did we talk about it on today's show?
Mm-hmm.
And you got it. So congratulations.
Nice. See, I was actually working towards Scavenger's Odyssey. Like I figured like that was probably the one since you kind of mentioned that. And by the way, Scavenger's Odyssey, so good. Yeah,
great.
Right? Like that, and it's way longer than I remember. The last time I actually went in and played it, it was like a couple hours long. Like people talk about PSVR Worlds as if it's just tech demos, or like demos of games. It's like Scavenger's Odyssey is almost especially for VR standards, almost a full game. So and man, what an early way to test your VR legs.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people got sick with it. I didn't. But I love the way that every like kind of platform or asteroid you jump to had its own gravity, so the whole thing kind of turned when you landed. Yeah, just great.
I did get sick, and I didn't know what motion sickness was. I didn't know what motion sickness felt like, right? And so like I was able to play things like Drive Club. I was able to play, Rush of Blood. I was able to play like pretty much every game, and even like Loading Human with its bizarre locomotion system. I was able to play everything. So when I was playing Scavenger's Odyssey and I started feeling that like that tight turn, twisting in my stomach, I was like, "What the hell's wrong with me?" I didn't know, and because I just kept playing. Right? I had no idea that it was due to what I was experiencing in the game, and I fucking definitely blew chunks when I was done with that. And then I never really got sick again. And I every so often I think there was like some dreams creations that kind of like made my stomach turn a little bit, but that was it. Motion sickness wasn't really an issue from that point on. So let's see what Luke.
We need more of these arcade style shoot 'em up games, like first person, tons of enemies on screen, just blasting the fuck out of everything. Like Archangel, for example, another good one in that kind of similar genre, even though it's on rails. Like VR
Yeah.
fits so well with that genre that it's kind of interesting that not more studios make games like that.
Yeah. And as you know, as big fans of like Time Crisis and Time Crisis 2 and 3 and going way back with like D2 arcade game, man, light gun games were just so awesome that it just these are the kind of things that I still really enjoy. People might get mad and be like, "Oh, it's not a full-fledged game," but nah, man, like I still absolutely love these style of games. Looper tells us it's the third time it's ever been picked, which is kind of crazy considering how long it's been out. We've had this game for 9 years now, and it's only the third time it's been picked. Previous were August 4th, 2021. AJ picked it, and Brian and Dave guessed it in 14. Shout out to Dave. And then October 16th, 2023, AJ picked it, and I guessed it in 11. Not too bad.
Wow.
Dan Keeper says, Brian, you could explore the wreck of the Titanic in one of those tiny subs. They're totally safe. I did explore the wreck of the Titanic in Titanic VR. Already been done, my friend. I even reviewed that game back in the day when I reviewed everything. All right, man. It's been a fun show. I didn't get to show off. I didn't get to show off the fact that. Oh my God, are you kidding me right now? Hold on, we're almost there. There we go. My Neo Geo cart finally showed up for the Evercade Alpha. Woo! I'm so excited. I get to play Neo Geo games in a slightly different way than I played them before. My shipment got delayed. It's so funny that like there are 6 Neo Geo games on this cartridge. 6. Dude, I've had every Neo Geo game emulated for the last fucking decade, and I'm so excited when this showed up today so I could play them on a, like I said, a slightly different way.
Shout out to Physical Things. We miss you.
Shout out to Retro Things.
Yeah.
Old things are way better than new things, said the grumpy old man screaming at clouds. Guys, make sure you go subscribe to Wes over at Virtual Strangers, where he and his friends talk about all things VR, not just PSVR2. And man, as we get closer to spooky season, you're definitely going to want to be subscribed with those notifications on because Wes will be playing some classic VR horror games that you might not even be familiar with. Any plans for that yet, or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Yeah, no hard plans on that yet. Although I do have some ideas, and I need to contact our friends and see if they're available to join us again this year. Thinking about doing something a little bit different, because we have done like the playthrough and analysis now for how many every years around, and we've done developer commentary throughout the whole thing twice in a row now. Like, I think we need to switch it up and do something a little bit different this year. So, I'm working on that, percolating a little bit.
Nice. This is totally just reminded me that the Paranormal Activity developers had tweeted a while back. They said, "Hey, if we were to make another horror game, what would you want us to do? Would you want us to make a sequel to Paranormal Activity, or just want us to make something completely new?" And the funny thing is that, like, if you ever played Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul on PSVR 1 or anywhere else, like, it had so little to do with the franchise, right? Because Paranormal Activity, all you got to do is make a haunted house where shit goes flying and things are scary, right? It's like, why even pay to get that IP? And I think overwhelmingly people were like, just do your own thing. Like, if it's as scary as Paranormal Activity was, then we're down. And so I'm kind of curious to hear what they're working on. I think they're called VR Works, WERKS, WERX or something like that. Yeah. So I might have to hit them up and see what's going on. But man, I hope we get Secret of the Mimic next month. I hope we get Slender the Arrival next month. I hope Fallen Planet Studios comes out of hiding and maybe tells us what's going on with Affected the Asylum.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting on, because I mean, they've literally been teasing that game since the original Affected launched. Yep. So like you would think that it's got to be getting close by now, right?
Well, yes. I kind of hinted at on the last GAMESCAST where somebody asked about it, but like there's a reason. There's a reason why it's taken so long, And I don't think I'm at liberty to say what the reason is, but you should know. You should find out soon enough. So it'll be interesting. It'd be interesting. They're not a big team over there, so we'll see how they handle all this. But I'm interested, man. I think the appeal of I'm stuttering. The appeal of Affected the Manor was that you had to go through this haunted house by yourself, right? How less scary is a game where 4 players all go grab a flashlight and then they walk through an asylum together? It's got to kill some. I mean, I've played Phasmophobia alone and then played it by myself. Alone and then by myself. I played it alone and then with 3 other people. It's wildly different, right? Even though it can still be a little bit scary, like it takes a lot of the tension out of the room when you have 3 other people that you're like laughing and talking with. And so I'm like, how scary does this game have to be effective in multiplayer? I think they've got the chops to do it, but I can't wait to see it for myself.
Yeah. You miss so many of like the audio cues and things when you've got other people in there cutting up and laughing. And I'm absolutely with you. And typically, I mean, it's nice to have the option, right, to play it again with people, but definitely first playthrough has to be alone, right?
I think so. I think you nailed it. Play it twice is the answer. And honestly, I know that they were trying to do some like randomized stuff, or maybe it was that Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity might have been the one with randomized scares, but it would be cool that like if you walk through the asylum multiple times and different things happen. Some things happen sometimes, and then because nothing is scarier than when you're like, I've played this before, and you're like walking down a hall and then something crashes through the wall that didn't crash through the last time. When you have that weird confidence, right? And you're like, everything's fine, and then you really let your guard down because you know the next scare is a little ways away. So it'd be pretty cool if they were able to do something like that.
I agree. Like that would be great if they had enough content that it could randomize and that could get, at least 3 or 4 different playthroughs that are significantly different. Seems doable.
GameCat Photo Nutter says Fallen Planet's about 5 miles from me. I should knock on their door. Yeah, well, let us know how that goes. I'm sure they'll just open it up and go, come on in, check out what we've been working on.
I bet their studio is like an old decrepit house.
Like they're working in a haunted house?
Yeah.
Taking inspiration. I like it. All right, you guys, time to get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Thank you, everybody who supports the channel, whether it's financially over on patreon.com/withoutparole or over here by being a member. We appreciate you very much. Or if you tip during the show, you're keeping the lights on. You guys are awesome. Really, really appreciate it. But if you don't spend money with us, that's totally fine. We're just happy that you're here. Remember, you guys, biggest PSVR2 community there is here over on Discord. Come join us over on Discord. The link's in the description below. It's awesome that you're here. It's like one big happy family. Most of us are happy. Some of us aren't, but what are you going to do? So thanks for hanging out with us, shooting the shit while we shoot the shit and playing 20 questions with us and sitting back, maybe watching the show and not saying a goddamn word. We know you're out there and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy Wednesday, cats. Have a good remainder of your week.
Let's go. We got to check out, see what's happening this day in Without Parole history before we get out of here, Wes. Let's take a quick little look. I hope everyone enjoys this thumbnail. I'm going to change it right after this show. Enjoy it while it lasts. I didn't like it all that much to begin with, so what are you going to do? Going back into the archives. What is this? Early September. Let's go back to 99999. None of my thumbnails are popping up, so I don't get a preview on any of these things.
Ooh, a surprise.
It might be a surprise. Oh, we got thumbnails. It just took a second for my backup hard drive to kick in. Scroll. Okay. Do we want... $2,001. This is not. That's not the right year. We haven't been doing this for 25 years. Do we want 2020? That sounds way different. 2020, 2021, 2020. I don't know, man. What year do you want?
Let's go 2020.
Yeah.
That's far enough back that we can still rub the good old days a little bit.
Apparently far enough back where I didn't actually put titles in the thumbnails. I just made them pretty. But it's definitely Iron Man, bro.
Yeah.
Man. Iron Man was great.
It was great.
Did you ever play the Quest version?
I did, actually, and it's very good as well. Some definite improvements over the PSVR version. Some visual steps back as well. But they got rid of that like node-based teleport thing. And I want to say that they even like maybe added in like a cutscene or two into it.
Gotcha.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm sure those load times were also taken care of because that was, I think, my biggest complaint. They were like, I mean, very, very infrequently is it that a load screen can really just fucking ruin the pace of a game. But Iron Man load screens were like up to a minute long. You're just standing in VR doing nothing. That was painful.
What? I remember this.
But man, what a success story though. Camouflage. Going from the stuff that they were doing, and then making Iron Man, and then obviously being bought by Meta and making Batman, which is definitely considered one of the best VR games of recent memory. So,
yeah, they made the best VR superhero game of all time, and then they made the best VR superhero game of all time.
I fucking eat my words on this, man. Like, as much as I love Ryan Payton and the team over at Camouflage, when Meta bought them, I did say I was like, man, not the biggest loss, right? Because it was like they always seem to have most of the components but never quite hit the home run, and then they were given what they needed and they hit the home run with on Quest. So I ate my words, and I'm very proud of that studio and how far they've come. Good stuff.
Yeah, and to be fair, how often does anyone actually hit the home run? Like, not very.
True. That's very true. All right, man. I'm gonna go.
It's true. VS.
Yeah. By the way, Vitruvius, the only developer out there, the only studio out there who actually tweeted about being on our top 30 list. Gee, I wonder why Arcane Age sold big. I wonder why Arcane Age sold big, because they know how to fucking market their game, man. They take advantage of these opportunities. So good for you, Vitruvius.
Yeah, they were watching. I talked to Blake. I don't know if it was that day, but like the very next day afterwards, and yeah, they were watching. They
were watching the actual debate. Right, and hearing what we were saying about Arcane Age, and they were loving it, man. So these are people who are super invested in the PSVR2 community. They care. All right, Wes, let's get out of here. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
We love you all.